Welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. I'm Landon, and we got Austin right back here with us. So excited to have him back as we recap the Mississippi State and Oklahoma game. State loses Austin 93-87 on the road. It's a quad one loss, but it's a loss on the road. Coming out from their big win over number 7 Texas A&M, who also lost a game today, but versus Tennessee. State loses this game, man. What's the overall feeling before we kind of get into it? Losing this game.
Last week I talked to you and I said, we went over every single game that we have left, and I said we got to watch out for these unranked games because I've watched a lot of Mississippi State basketball. You've watched a lot of Mississippi State basketball. We know that there's not one game on any schedule for any game, any team. Southern. Us playing Southern last year. There's no game that is a for sure win. I don't care if Oklahoma was 2-10. I don't care if they were 3-10 in the SEC. We got to watch these unranked games, and I mean, you can see what happened. I mean, offensively, we talk about offensively, with each other, and when you look at the box score, we did have 87 points, but it's just rough that we can't go, shot for shot with an Oklahoma team that just is not talented than us. I mean, if we played these guys 10 times, probably 8 out of 10, I would say Mississippi State's going to win. So it was just, I don't understand how I just when I'm talking about offensively, just sometimes when other teams are getting hot, we can't really share, we can't really go shot for shot with a lot of these teams. And the Chris Jans, defensive team, like he always is, was just not there with Oklahoma scoring 93 points. But I don't know if we were looking ahead. We were playing Alabama. We got a couple more big games. I don't know if we were looking ahead or if this was just a trap game. But Oklahoma has lost a lot of bad games, really bad games. And you talked about the Texas A&M game that we won, a lot of hype, and maybe we just we're still kind of on a hangover after that big game, and it cost us because we can't be out here losing to this game. There was so much hype the past few days, and it was a really rough way to have get this week starting in basketball.
Yeah, and it seemed like State missed a lot of open shots. I think that might be what you're saying. Like in the end, State did score 87 points, but they left a lot of shots on the table. To put it to perspective, State had 18 more shots than Oklahoma, and and they were just not able. And like they both made the same number of field goals, 29 of 29 and 29 on both sides. But State shot 73 shots and Oklahoma shot 55. So State had a lot of opportunities, and there were several open looks. Josh Hubbard had open threes. I don't get it with him this year, man. It's like if there's someone in his face, he's coming off a screen, I almost feel better about that as opposed to him being, wide open. Riley Kugel, never should have to take 17 shots in a game. He just has not looked great. And so we're going to get into kind of the diagnosis of what it is. I think State seems to be going a little bit more away from Cam Matthews. Maybe the defenders are just doing a better job of kind of clogging up the lane. That's kind of what it looks like. But Cam has not been able to get going the way that I know he wants to. But look, before we get in to kind of too far, just got to take a sip. I'm just a little parched here. Oh, that reminds me of our sponsor. My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee Bar in the Cotton District. Arpa's is a great place, man. I went to Arpa's today and got me some coffee, got me some good stuff. And so now we will always have it as a part of the show here in the background. But Arpa's is located in the heart of the Cotton District. Great food, great service, and honestly, really just a great location. It's kind of where everything is happening in Starkville there in the Cotton District. So go by Arpa's Coffee Bar, get you something to drink, get you something to eat, and have a great time. And look, let them know at the checkout that you are a listener of the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. You want to get that 15% off discount. If you've never been to Arpa's, that's a great excuse. Go and get some money off of it. No big deal. No harm, no foul. Where else can you say you have that option? 4 p.m. after 4 p.m. on Fridays, get any side free with a burger. Get the Venezuelan burger. Man, it's going to be worth it. So make sure you check out Arpa's. And then also, hey, talk about people that were moneyed. Jeremiah Fears for Oklahoma was incredibly efficient. Kind of like what we talked about in the preview show. He's a potential lottery pick next year. He was money, man. I mean, he was getting rich out of kind of going through State's defense. But hey, I think the bigger question, other than Jeremiah Fears and where he's going to land in the draft lottery, is, what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi Edward Jones financial advisor, serving clients in the area and also across the state. Contact him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Austin, in this game, State seemed like the entire time they were having to kind of fight back. And we mentioned Oklahoma as a team that, despite their overall record, 16-10 coming into this game and 3-10 in the SEC, Joe Lunardi had them as one of the last 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. So you're still talking about a tournament team, but just a team that had kind of been struggling. In Mississippi State, I don't know. I guess I wonder, does this surprise you? Oklahoma, a team that does not really shoot the ball well from three, shoots 42% from three in this game, and has several guys that were efficient. It's just like every single week we see the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why I would have picked Mississippi State to win this game, just because I've heard that they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the SEC, and I mean, it's just, I don't care who's playing us. It could be the local high school. They're going to be shooting lights out. It's getting ridiculous, and I say this all the time, but it really is. I mean, it's just everybody can shoot. Everybody can shoot against us. So it's just, I feel like we know it's going to happen. We got Fears last game, and the next game we got Sears, who's probably going to light it up. It's just, it's rough out here, for us watching us defensively, because everybody's been lighting us up. It's not even this year. I feel like it's just, it was last year and the year before that. Just everybody has a shooter, and I mean, that shooter's going to get hot, or if it's not that shooter, it's going to be some random guy that averages 6 points a game. It's just, it really sucks. And so we don't really have that. Claudio Harris has had some really good shooting nights. Riley Kugel has had some pretty good shooting nights. Josh Hubbard is, he's kind of Josh Hubbard every night, but like when it comes to shooting, he's not like, Josh Hubbard doesn't really have a night where he's like 6 for 7 from the 3-point line. He's always going to be pretty good, shooting about, 40%, 35%, somewhere around there, but it's going to be consistently. And, we don't really have a guy that's like, dang, like he cannot miss right now. Claudio Harris had 1 or 2 games, non-conference this year, where I was like, dang, I mean, he looks really good. But yeah, Chris Jans, known as a defensive guy, has not been able to do anything about that this whole year. We've talked about that. Everybody really has talked about that, trying to create a plan to limit the 3-pointer for this year. But we haven't seen it. We have not seen it. And Oklahoma's over here scoring 93 points against us. And I mean, it was sad. It was sad to see after such I don't want to say a dominant, but just a great win that we were just so hyped about with Texas A&M. And then Oklahoma just comes over here and shuts us up. So, yeah, I mean, it was bad, and I don't know what we talk about it all the time, but we've talked about it consistently, but we got to limit the 3-point shot.
Yeah, well, and so it's odd. It seems like State was going to be up against several things this season. They don't have a rim protector. I really, really need one. They don't have a guy that can defend the point. Like Josh Hubbard his plus minus was -7. For the night. He's a small guy. He's not going to be a great defender, especially going up against a guy like Fears. Whenever you get switched on him, it's going to be a problem. So State has a couple things working against them that they had working for them last year. Deshaun Davis was a very good defender at that point. You had DJ Jeffries along with Cam Matthews, and then you had Tolu Smith and Jimmy Bell. Like there's so many other bigger defenders, and State doesn't have that this year. So you kind of have to be more offensive. But the problem is that they have struggled shooting the ball. And just like you said, you could probably expect Hubbard to go 40% is kind of your best case scenario. But what about the guys around him? Keyshawn Murphy played a good game. Claudio Harris had really big shots down the stretch, but struggled earlier on. And honestly, it seemed like Riley Kugel almost shot them out of the game. 5 for 17, 1 for 6 from 3. Kugel is a very odd anomaly on this team. It just seems like he's boom or bust almost every single game. Like he's going one way, either having a lights out, the reason why State wins. Do you remember who it was that Kugel basically won the game for State because he had such a good game?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I cannot think about it. But yeah, he just like where he couldn't miss, and he was really good down the stretch. I don't know why I can't
Maybe
think of it.
Vanderbilt, possibly.
Yeah, something like that. It was earlier in the year for sure. Yeah, it hadn't been in the past like 2 or 3 weeks.
But overall, very disappointing loss for State. That obviously they wanted this game, and needed this game is not the case. But look, Joe Lunardi had State as a five seed after beating A&M. You beat Oklahoma, you probably kind of go on to solidify that 5 seed, because then you play Alabama next. Well, now you're kind of kicked yourself in the foot, because you lose to Oklahoma, and now you're going on the road at Alabama, and we'll preview that game after the break. But at the given moment, that doesn't look good, right, Austin? Like that seems like it's going to be a loss, and then you got 3 games to really kind of win out if you want to solidify the 5.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, I hate to be negative like this, but it's like we want to be an 8 or 9 seed. It's just like anytime we're like not, we're like, oh, we might be a 5 seed. Well, we're talking about being a 3 seed. But Mississippi State's like, hold up, nah, we don't want that. We want to be playing in the 8 and 9 game. It's so frustrating. It really, really is, because this win against Alabama would be, and I know we're going to talk about it, but this game would be monumental for seeding wise. And we got a couple, like I said, non-conference game and non-ranked games. LSU, we still got Texas, and we still have Arkansas. Those 3 games, who knows? We're not probably going to go 3-0 in those games, but this Alabama would be really big. But I mean, 8 or 9 seed, it's looking like it's possible. We'll see.
See, I don't know. I think the 9 seed's out of the question at this point. I think the 8 seed is out of the question. Well, you don't want to say out of the question, because they go 0-3 and then lose to Alabama too. But I would say that the 9 is I think you're probably safe from that. I think you're safe from the 8 seed. Say you end up losing to Alabama, more than likely, right? LSU at home, that's kind of a must win. Like, there's no excuse to lose to an LSU team that's been that bad. Texas at home is a little bit trickier. That's a quad 2 game, and Texas can shoot. That's a problem for Mississippi State. And then Arkansas is a team that, as we're recording this, is beating Missouri by 4. And Arkansas has gotten better and better. Like, you don't want any part of Arkansas, and it's in Arkansas. As John Calipari's fighting for a tournament spot. So, yeah, you're right. I think State, it seems likely. I don't know, but you got to ask the question: where did they end up after this loss? Like, does Lunardi bump them back down to a 6? Then you lose to Bama. Does that move you down to a 7? So you're right. I mean, the 8 is in play. I don't see them being an 8 or a 9, but I don't know. I could be very wrong. That's just you and I have said it for weeks. That's not where State. If State wants to win a game in the tournament, they do not need to be an 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The way Arkansas has been playing the last couple of weeks, Calipari it would be an embarrassment if he doesn't make the tournament. He wants to make the tournament. We could easily lose that game. And I feel like this Texas game could really be a trap game for us. I really do. Obviously we're going to be favored to win against Texas, but they could very well come out just like Oklahoma did, with guns blazing, and score 90 something points. It's that time of year where you just don't know what's going to happen. LSU, I want to say that I feel confident that we're going to win. Alabama game, we're going to talk about it, but that's not looking great. So I don't know. I think that this 8 seed is definitely possible, especially on the run. We just lost on the road really bad too. If we go to Arkansas, that's a game that we could definitely lose.
Yeah, and again, we'll kind of look at that soon, but we're going to take a quick break and have a couple of messages from MPW Digital. And when we come back, we will preview the game versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa. We'll be right back.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange. making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.
And we're back. Welcome back to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. So Alabama and Mississippi State, this game is in Tuscaloosa, and selfishly, I'm very excited about that. Covering some of the Mississippi State games this season has been really, really neat and awesome to kind of cover, be credentialed in person, and be there at the press conference. But driving back and forth to Starkville from Tuscaloosa kind of gets old after a little bit. So having this game in Tuscaloosa is great for me. Really bad for Mississippi State because Alabama's coming off of a big win versus Kentucky. Alabama has looked really good, and Alabama is just a straight up mismatch versus Mississippi State. I mean, I know 88-84 there in Starkville was a close game, but like several people were off. Mark Sears was off. Grant Nelson was kind of off. Holloway didn't play a great game, but Chris Youngblood played the game of his life and won it for Alabama. Austin, I don't feel good about this game at all. And again, in Tuscaloosa, whenever they're fighting back to try to see if they can get to a 1 seed, this has mismatch written all over it.
Yeah, I agree. Just that game in Starkville, there was so much hype around it, and we lost in kind of a heartbreaker. The game was very close, and like really the entire game, the game was close, and there was a lot of hype for the Bulldogs going into it. This game, I feel like it's the other way. Alabama's got a lot of hype. They've got a lot of momentum, and we don't want any part of that, especially after this really, really bad loss on the road. We got to go on the road in Tuscaloosa, one of the hardest places to play in the SEC, because they've got a great ball team. And this next month, they're going to be trying to get a lot of wins, and they want a national champion. They don't want to go to round of 32. They're not talking about 8 or 9 seed. They want to win a national championship. And Nate Oates is one of the greatest coaches in the country right now. He's really had our number since he's been there. He's really, really just had us that where we haven't been able to figure him out. And I don't think we're going to figure him out this time. This is going to be a very rough game. I didn't when this game ends, I just don't want to see Josh Hubbard and Keyshawn Murphy, I don't want them to be dominating the scoreboard and everybody else has 8, 9 points or under. It's just, that's been happening way too much, especially with us scoring 87 points. And it's just, we need more guys to step up. Claudia Harris on the bench. We put him on the bench. That's helped a little bit, but it's just like, we've seen these guys all season. We know what some of these guys can do. We know they can step up and play better. The past couple of weeks, we haven't seen it. And, Josh Hubbard, great scorer, the best scorer on the team. He's, just heck of an athlete. I love watching him play, but he's not going to win you a game if he's scoring 19 points and everybody else can't. Like when I was talking about offensively, nobody else is going to step up. Keyshawn Murphy's going to do his thing. He's probably going to get double-digit rebounds, but really, I mean, who's there with them? Fomina's not, we talked about going into the year, Famina has not played at all. And then obviously Michael Nwoko, he's got a little bit of upside. I look forward to seeing him next year if he stays. But this year, he really hasn't done too much. So the only person to really get the rebounds is Keyshawn Murphy. And we just need to see guys step up. I would love to see Cam Matthews score 12. I would love to see RJ Melendez score 15 in this game. Riley Kugel maybe score 10 to 15 in this game. If they don't, we're not winning this game. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm just tired of these guys not stepping up when we know they can. I just feel like we're really not seeing the whole potential of these guys, and we need it against Alabama because I don't see us winning this game at all if Mark Sears gets going. And like you brought up a great point, Mark Sears that first game didn't even play. He played bad. Like I forgot he went way deep into the game without even scoring a point. And I was like, wait, this game's real close, and he hadn't even scored. That's not good for us. So that's
you want to hear Mark Sears' line in this tonight versus Kentucky. He scored 30 points. He was 11 of 11 on 3-pointers, had 3 threes in the game as well.
Dang. You see, that's scary, man. That's scary. And then we're asking Josh Hubbard, who I love, but we're asking Josh Hubbard to go guard him, or Claudio Harris to go guard him. Like who's guarding Mark Sears when he's high? And nobody. And if we are, either maybe if RJ Melendez wants to guard him, I mean, they offensively, are they going to pick it up? Because I don't see us going shot for shot with Alabama if we can't go shot for Oklahoma. So it's just I look forward to the game, but it really might break our hearts, just to be honest.
Yeah, and I can hear some folks saying, "Well, wait a minute, State was able to play Texas A&M well, and they're a potential top 2 seed." But here's the thing, though: the difference in play styles, Texas A&M matches up with Mississippi State, and vice versa. A&M doesn't shoot the ball really well, so they're kind of having to grind it inside, be slashers, and that's great. That kind of aids well with State's help defense in the paint. That's why they had 17 steals. Alabama, on the other hand, if you start help defense with them, they can kick it out to so many people. I mean, listen to this: Sears had 3 threes. Chris Youngblood for Alabama tonight. Chris Youngblood had 3 threes. Aiden Holloway had 5 threes. And then 4 other guys took 3. So like they've got a lot of different options to kick the ball out to compared to Texas A&M. A&M is just a team that, if State got A&M in March in the tournament, I wouldn't be as afraid just because of the matchups. But teams like Alabama, and honestly teams like Kentucky who can shoot, give State all kinds of problems. And so this has a potential. I think the biggest thing, Austin, and tell me if you agree with this, you don't want this game to bleed into the other games. Like you don't want this Oklahoma loss to bleed to Alabama, and then Alabama loss to bleed into the remaining 3 games of the season.
Yeah, something I've always heard, and I've talked about it before on the show. Basketball is a game of runs. And, if we're on a bad run, we might just keep on headed towards it. And especially in the SEC where, every game's not a given. LSU's had a really bad season for, the SEC, just the way the SEC has gone. But, I mean, they're a team that could, come out and win. Arkansas, I just talked about it. We could lose that game. So, this game's really big. If we get embarrassed, like if they're just shooting us out of the gym and they're, their bench players and their 14th man is out there and we're just getting cooked. I mean, that's going to be very embarrassing because we still got, 3 more games. And then the SEC, we still got the SEC tournament. We got a lot of basketball to be played and we just got to focus on one game at a time because, if we're looking ahead, like we might have been against Oklahoma, then we're not. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly. And this game, if we get embarrassed, and then LSU's feeling good because they might have a chance to beat us up when we're cold. I mean, it's just it could get really ugly. This time in about a week and a half, we could be feeling really bad, or hey, but we could also be feeling really good, and that's important. We could go down there in Tuscaloosa and shock all of college basketball. That would help with seeding so much. But just if I were to pick us right now, I would pick Mississippi State losing against Alabama.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. If State was to somehow win, I think they could move up to a 4 seed. Like that, a win in Tuscaloosa would be huge because not a lot of people have done that. I think only Auburn has done that in Tuscaloosa. So yeah, but I don't see it happen. I think Alabama wins this one by 15, or maybe a little bit more. I just think they can shoot so well and get hot. And they shoot a lot anyway, but it's just, it's going to be odd. So we will give you, sorry about that. We will give you a recap of this game on Thursday, and then also give you a preview of the LSU game, which will be Saturday, the first, also the day of the Elimination Chamber for WWE in Toronto. So John Cena's last Elimination Chamber. Always happy to give him props. But anyway, until next time, make sure you follow us on Twitter. It's just at MyDawgsPod. Again, we will get into the Mississippi State baseball season a little bit more. We're just very early on into the season right now, and I think basketball is a little more prevalent. So we're leaning into that for now. But hey, follow us there. Make sure you subscribe to our Substack, and make sure you subscribe to MPW Digital, over 11,000 subs. And until next time, we will see you later. Thank you so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.